Success in Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And you are listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz. And what can you say about a man who starts a company called A-Hole Consulting, but he's now blackmailing the Democratic Party for $10 billion. And if you haven't figured out who I'm talking about now, it's time for Aaron Clarey, a.k.a. Captain Capitalism. He's just finished a new book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. Aaron, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me again, Kerry.
Hey, so what's this all about here?
Well, the book, or the blackmailing, or the book?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Well, the book is basically, all right, I'm an economist first and foremost, and I don't say that lightly. It's not like I'm an econometrician. I'm not one who's into the statistics or the algorithms. I do study it though, but real economists want to advance society. It's a side of philosophy, or a subsegment of philosophy, to advance humans, to advance humankind, to benefit humankind. And the vast majority of my books and work has been finance, economics, helping out people in general. But then I looked at it and I noticed that a disproportionate amount of my readership is young Black men. And, almost nearly 20%, based on best I can measure it. And I started noticing these guys, they're sick of what they've been told. They're sick of the same leftist lies. They're sick of the indoctrination. They're sick of the defeatism and the helplessness of it all, because it's like, oh, it just sucks to be you, and you're helpless and hopeless, and just rely on the government to do it. And they're done with it. And they some of my most loyal, ardent followers are young Black men. I think there's a market here. And so instead of, just a generalist book for everybody to read, I decided to write a book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. And certainly I'm not a Black man. I have not had, quote unquote, the Black experience, but I was poor. I was dirt poor, not literally dirt, but I mean darn well close, as much as you can be given 1970s and 80s technology. And I know what it takes to get out of poverty, and I know what it's like. Yeah, I remember, like, I had to use a shampoo back in college that gave, like, the dandruff, and I couldn't exchange it because it was free shampoo, even though it made my scalp completely itchy, and I couldn't afford lip balm. I mean, it was bad. And so I'm like, well, look, I went through all this pain and agony, and maybe did not grow up, quote unquote, in the ghetto, but I know what it takes to get out. And so I thought I'd put together this book, capitalize and help out on what I seem to think there's some demand, some underlying demand, an undercurrent of Black men who are sick of it. And so we'll see. So far, the book hasn't even technically been published yet, but it's gotten nothing but positive responses. The advanced copies I put together is certainly sent it to young Black men so they could advise and consult me on making any changes or anything like that. It's been nothing but 100% positive. So in the book, I literally think this book is going to do more to help out Black men than any time since the Civil War. I don't say that lightly. I say that very seriously, because it's not a political book. It's straight dope. And we'll see. I hope for the best, but that's kind of where we're at with the book.
So what can Black men do? What are 3 things that a Black male who's living in poverty, in the ghetto, in the hood, what can he do right now to start to lift himself out of poverty?
Well, the first thing is not to, and I'm abbreviating it here for polite reasons, is not to F up. And there's an entire subsegment of a chapter called Don't F Up, but I don't use the word F. I spell it out. And that's the number one thing, because if you are to screw up your life somehow, you can recover from one major screw up. 2 or 3, it's over. Your life is completely over. So we're talking about things like don't have kids until you're married or could afford them. Don't major in something stupid. Crime, I don't even talk about. It's just a given. Don't hang out with bad people. I think a lot of times good people hang out with bad people, and then you still run into trouble. You still end up dealing with it because that guy left some pot in your car you didn't know about, stuff like that. So the first thing, don't screw up. The next thing, major in something that's in demand and worthwhile. Don't swallow this, oh, I got to major in gender studies or African American studies. That you want to talk about true Uncle Toms? It's the charlatans and shysters, these professors that are selling that as an education when all they're doing is enriching themselves and giving you a degree that is not going to help you get employed. So, as per usual, I strongly recommend black men go into STEM. Well, everybody should go into STEM. And then the other thing is to put humans first in their life, to realize that the most important thing in life is other humans, your friends, your family, your loved ones. You don't need Xbox and video. I like video, don't get me wrong. I'm sitting right in front now of my PS4. I'm probably going to play some video games later today, but that's not the most important thing. And once you realize that your friends and conversation and hanging out with your fellow loved ones, family, familial, or friends, or your romantic love people, you don't need anything else. You really don't need the material stuff. You don't need brand name this or a fancy that or a fancy car. So those are the three things. And frankly, it has nothing really to do with them being black. This is just general advice for everybody. I just think that no one's taken the time to deliver this message to the black community, black men in particular, because everyone views them as a voting block or some kind of pawn to use in a political game. So that's kind of the three main things I recommend to not just black men, but anybody.
Yeah, well, of course, makes total sense. Don't get into trouble. And that also means don't get into hassles with the cops. Stay away from the police. Right.
Right.
Don't sell.
Never got
cigarettes.
in trouble with cops. Yeah. I even if they're wrong. Yeah. I mean, and everyone's been pulled over. Everyone has that cop that's just a jerk. Yeah. And I'm being really nice. You know what? You still call him sir. You just nod your head and then you move along. You don't just yes sir, no sir. And yeah, it sucks. We've all been there. But you don't take it out on them because they got a lot of buddies with a lot more guns.
Right. I mean, Walter Williams said it for a black male, don't get into trouble with the cops, get a job, even a minimum wage job, buy a house. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe buying a house isn't what it used to be, but if you can buy a house in a pretty discounted area where prices are way down, maybe not a bad idea. Might not be a bad idea. And
it's better than blowing it on some kind of consumable item. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't run up a lot of debt, right? I'm sure that's one of them that's in there.
Correct.
And what else? What other items to take you from the hood? What about language skills?
I really don't talk about language skills. It was a minor thing. It primarily focuses on economics. But aside from not screwing up, majoring in the right thing, I also I strongly recommend and advocate entrepreneurship. Because it's one thing to escape poverty, and you do that by not goofing up, keeping it in your pants, making just some common sense, straight decisions. But if you really want to be free, you really want to enjoy life, you're not 99% of people are not going to have that working for somebody else. Yes, there's that 1% of rare people who have a job and they actually like it. But I'm also there's an entire chapter on entrepreneurship where it says, okay, for the chapter previous to it was the first sentence in the next chapter. Forget everything I said in the previous chapter because it's almost joy. It's like, look, yeah, this is going to get you out of poverty, but is that really going to make you happy in life? And so I start talking about entrepreneurship and how you want to. Have you seen the movie The Gambler? The new one, Mark Wahlberg. You have?
Didn't see it, I'm afraid.
No. Okay, you're not missing it out. But John Goodman has a great speech, and he says it's the position of FU. He says, you get enough money, you buy a house, you put the rest in the savings account, it covers your taxes with the interest and everything else. You're in a position of F you. Boss that says something that you don't like, F you. United States, built on F you. King George, you got an army, you got a navy, F you. We're the United States of America. And so there's that element of true independence and freedom in that chapter that I teach to, again, not just black guys. Anybody can certainly read this book and benefit from it. But I wanted to go that extra step. Not only do you want to get out of poverty, but what is your legacy? What is your agency and purpose in life? And yes, you certainly can have family and all that, but what do you really want to do before you die and move on to the next world? So the entrepreneurship is a very key chapter, I think, as well.
Oh, for sure. And I totally dig what you're saying. It just makes so much sense. And hey, you have to do it because otherwise, otherwise, what are you going to do? And look, so important. I think you're doing a real service. I hope you don't get too much blowback from it. It's just common sense. And if you don't do it, then you're just going to be following a failed model that really is going to get you absolutely nowhere, right?
Right. Well, there's been 50 billion people on this planet. How many are memorable? And that's my whole point. I mean, I'm not saying you got to become Socrates and be well known 4,000 years after your death. I'm not talking about that. But you get this one shot here. This is it. This is all you got, guys. And what do you want to do? Do you want to become this it's not like, what do you want to do? Become the average? Well, I grew up in the suburbs, then I majored in English, and then I was a teacher, and then I died. Mm-hmm. Well, I was brought up in the ghetto. I did some pot. I got busted on some drug charges, and I spent some time in prison. And then, really, no. Everybody's life is too darn precious to go by the script. And what's great is, I don't care how much blowback I get on this. The more blowback, the more controversy, the more people call me a racist or whatever. Fine. If they want to get their panties in a bundle, fine. That's just more free marketing for me. But in the end, the black men who do read this book, they are not going to live the common life. They are not going to live an average life, and they will not waste their lives. I'm not saying they're going to become the next, Wernher von Braun launching rockets into space or whatever, but they're going to become whatever version it is of their life that they want to do, and they're not going to be common. They will have loving families, maybe have a loving wife, maybe go and invent something. It doesn't even have to be, they don't have to start the next Facebook. Start a great hot dog shop, and then they get the fame and the wall. Yeah, you make the greatest hot dogs there. Whatever it is, they're going to live their dream. And that's all I really hope that this book can do. And, certainly non-black males can read it. There's certainly the lessons there. But it's just, I think the black males is such there's the most potential for improvement there, because they have the lowest standards of living, they suffer the most by every economic, sociological, health metric. This is the group that we really do need to pay attention to and focus on, but not lie to and use as a political pawn for political gain. We have to straight, dope talk, give them the truth, help them out, and help them live the best lives they possibly can.
Absolutely. And hey, when we return, let's talk about what's going on economically for all of us in the so-called real world, the real world economy on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Every week the show is growing. Would you like to be a part of it? Then go to clubfsn.com and help support us with $1, $2, $5, or $10 a month and get a host of premium content with newsletters dropped into your mailbox, free books, private audio clips, webinars, and much more. Then join clubfsn.com. If you want to get ahead of the trend and ensure your family's financial security before it's too late, go to clubfsn.com and sign up.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And if you're just joining us, we've got Aaron Clarey with us, a.k.a. Captain Capitalism, noted author, blogger, and much more, and CEO of A-Hole Consulting, or, well, that's my abbreviation, but you know what it stands for. So, Aaron, I mean, look what's going on here in the world. It seems to be going to hell in a handbasket faster than any of us could have ever envisioned. I mean, although I thought it was going to happen in 2009, here we are 6 years later. I mean, it's really just falling apart, isn't it?
It's falling apart. But what angers me more than anything else is how the United States gets this get out of jail free card because of our world reserve currency status. Mm-hmm. By every metric, our debts to GDP, slowing economic growth, labor force participation, dependency, every metric, I can't believe, I knew the financial crisis obviously did happen in 2009, but I can't believe that gold is down to $1,200 an ounce. I can't, but what it is a testament of is that the rest of the world is even in worse shape, that the U.S. dollar looks like a place of safety. And that's the only reason we can get away with this profligate, irresponsible spending and economic lifestyle, if you want to call it that. And so I get so frustrated because the fundamentals, like if you were to look at the United States as a borrower, like if this borrower ever came up to me and showed me their balance sheet and their income statement and their tax returns, I'm like, we're not loaning you any money, but we're the United States. We got a world reserve currency, and everybody else wants to come here and buy our U.S. denominated assets. And so the dollar has had this resurgence in the past 6 months, and people say, oh, gold and silver has been going down. It's like, no, you don't understand. It's not gold and silver going down. It's other foreign currencies being even suckier than the U.S. dollar, flooding to the U.S. dollar, and that drives the value of the U.S. dollar relative to all other commodities up. And so it's still a cop-out. These Keynesian economists they're so glib. And then, well, see, there hasn't been a crash yet. It's like, yeah, because go look at Greece. That's what would happen to us if we weren't the U.S. reserve, the global reserve currency. So it's just this cop out. It's cowardice economics at its worst. And this can go on forever. Until a new reserve currency comes along. But until that point in time, yeah, you know what? I guess quite literally what's ending up happening is Chang over in China, who's busting his rear off, working a real job, is paying for Susie to go get her master's in gender studies. And everyone's okay with that because, it's the U.S. dollar. Bail us out. That's what's happening. That's what my view of the world currency markets and the commodities markets are today.
Yeah. And couldn't agree with you more because, like you say, there's a lot of other countries in the world where they're extremely hardworking, where their currencies are not the world reserve currency, and they're bearing the brunt for the profligate spending and the irresponsibility that's taking place in the U.S. right now, and the profligate spending's going on all over the place. But it's kind of like a maze that the world's gotten itself into, and there's no exit from it, right? Every corridor that you go down is like a dead end.
Well, right. I mean, and like, okay, even take China and India. I mean, they produce most of the material consumer. They're the genuine producer. We have services, and I know the argument between services and goods. I understand that, but even though they are the genuine producers, they're producing real, tangible, physical wealth, they're still so corrupt that the U.S. dollar looks better. Yeah. Russia, same thing. It's like, and I understand economically why that is happening, but there's just no justice because you just see the U.S. and its people and the governments and the politicians, and not to mention the consumer spenders, just getting away with what is nothing more than theft. We are making everybody else pay for our spending habits. And I guess, technically it benefits us, but there's no morality in it. And that's what kind of irks me. And again, as an economist, I'm kind of like, we so would have been totally right if we just didn't have this get out of jail free card. So there's a philosophical angst I have over it, but it's benefiting us. We got cheap oil, we got cheap food, we got cheap Chinese goods. Let the good times roll, I guess. But I can understand if the rest of the world's going to be very upset with us down the road if also we can't pay them back.
Well, we can pay them back in newly minted fiat dollars, right? We can do as many of them as we need.
I know, but I can't. It's just so funny that they take it. Like, there is no better feeling. Like, I usually go through a coin deal, not coin dealer, but a metal dealer to get purchases. But then every once I'm like, I got a little bit of extra money, so I'll go to my local coin dealer. And there's no better feeling than taking these pieces of paper, these Benjamins. You know, like, you go to the bank and, okay, here's my pieces of paper, and then I go and I trade them in for some like junk quarters, junk silver dimes or quarters, or some pristine new U.S. silver eagles. And it's just the exchange where it's like you have that physical metal and you make the pinging noise to test to make sure it's 100% silver. You make that pinging test, and it's like, this is real. And I just gave you people paper, and you know, and then, hey, if the Chinese want to buy our U.S. Treasury bonds, and if the Europeans want to buy that, and if everyone wants to flood to the U.S. dollar, you know what? The Federal Reserve is more than happy to print off as many dollars as possible. But I just, it's a moral issue for me. It kind of agitates me a little bit. Yeah,
well, there's no room for morality in the modern economic system. Morality and monetary policy parted company long ago, right?
Correct. Well, I even wrote a piece a while ago called "There Are No Such Things as Financial Markets Anymore." I looked at Wall Street Journal, Investor Business Day. I was just looking at the headlines on different, you know, major financial publications, and it's all about what governments are doing. It has nothing to do with what it should be, which is what our corporations and productivity and the economy is doing. It's all, whoa, central bank might do this. Oh, European central bank might do that. Interest rates might go here. Bank of Japan might do this. It's like you no longer, the analysts and the majority of information is no longer about the fundamentals of the underlying securities and corporations and companies that those securities represent. It's what our government's doing. And I'm kind of like looking at, like, this isn't a financial market. This is not a place suppliers of money, investors go to fund companies. This is a place where retirement dollars are being flooded, where quantitative easing money is being flooded, and where pension money and speculation. It doesn't even represent. You can't call it a financial market. You can't call it a stock market. It's some other Frankenstein type of market. But the connection between genuine production, genuine economic growth, genuine profits, genuine efficiency has long ago been severed from those financial markets.
Yeah, well, the purpose of the financial sector used to be to allocate capital in an efficient manner to growing businesses, but that's long since gone. Anyway, Aaron, we got to go. Just tell us your website and how to get your books, especially the new one.
The new one will be out pretty soon. You can always go to Amazon.com. Just search my name, Aaron Clarey. It's out there. There's Batch of Pad Economics, Worthless, Enjoy the Decline, Black Man's Got a Poverty coming soon. Otherwise, my flagship site is CaptainCapitalism.blogspot.com. And I have my podcast, the Clarey Podcast, and then I got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, the YouTube channel. If you want to go, I got a YouTube, and a lot of young people find that funny and entertaining, where we kind of dispense a little bit of financial advice in my charming, hungover, woke up manner. So you can find me there.
All right, love it. And as always, you will find the link on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Don't forget, sign up for our free newsletters so you get advised when the next free webinar will be. Aaron, we will talk with you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kerry.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.